Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where I go over my favourite designs from the Gundam universe and I tell you what I like about each one of them from what I can remember from memory, not from like Wikipedia or anything else. So, today's episode, we're going into the Full Armour Thunderbolt Gundam, or rather, the Full Armour Gundam from Gundam Thunderbolt. And yeah, this thing's cool. Let's get into the design for a start. The main frame is a little bit different from the classic Gundam because it's meant to be used, I'd say, primarily by its loadout in outer space. We've got thrusters all over the place. We've got different bits to protect its like knees. Well, its knee joint and its elbow joints from debris in the Thunderbolt sector. And other little noticeable things are multiple head cameras instead of just like a couple of ones on the front and back of the head. Instead, we get a couple on the cheeks. But the thing that I like most, and this is going to sound obvious, really obvious about the Full Armour Gundam, is the fact that it's not so much the color scheme, it's the fact that they kind of took this idea of how much weapons can we strap on a Gundam and then just went with it. Like we've already discussed other suits that have overwhelming firepower like the Zabanya, but yeah, this is a case of ridiculous firepower mixed with overwhelming speed. And then to top it all off, when they asked Lo Fleming, the pilot, how many shields he wanted, he just went, yeah, all of them. At least that's where it looks like. The Thunderbolt style design seems to be how many shields can we put on a mobile suit while it's still fighting. And yeah, it's a cool idea, but some of them just seem ridiculous. The average mobile suit you might see with like a handheld shield and then one on a backpack. Or you might find that though the handheld one might be then put on another arm that comes out the backpack. That's one of the other defining factors with mobile suit designs from Thunderbolt, is that they all seem to have like these manipulators that can come out of the backpacks or whatever to be able to hold these extra shields or extra weapons. And again, that's really cool. But when it comes to the Full Armour Gundam, they don't skip out. So the main thing that draws me to this is the shields. Not so much all of the package together, but just the shields. It's like one shield for the double beam rifle arm. Okay, I can understand that because the same weapon that you're using to shoot people with, that's pretty lethal, you know, compared to standard beam weapons. You want that to be protected because in some other sequences we've seen in different series, weapons are prone to getting shot out of the hand and either their arm exploding or the weapon exploding. So the shield on that arm makes sense. Shield on the other arm, I mean, it makes it hard for when you're using a beam saber to turn it in certain ways. But as another way of defending yourself while you're trying to take aim with the double beam rifle, sure, because you don't want to get hit in your blind spot, or at least from the side, so it gives you a bit more defense. I can just about grab the idea of two shields, like dual wielding shields, but then it gets crazy where you add the backpack on. Now the backpack has another two manipulators that allow it to hold shields, and it can also store a couple of beam sabers, and it also has a missile pod and a large beam cannon on top of it, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. So the other two manipulators can hold another two shields, which the Thunderbolt, or the Full Armour Thunderbolt, always seems to ship out with. So what this thing has is 4 shields as its default loadout. And sure, it makes it stand out from anything else, but it makes this thing really tanky. I can understand it from a design aspect if you want to be able to shield the suit's backpack because of the weapons that it has on it. Same way to shielding the arms, but just at first sight, you just think, what the heck is this? You know, it's a really crazy design, and we get to see it being used throughout the animation when, or throughout the Thunderbolt, like, miniseries, OVAs, especially with one part where Lo rams the Thunderbolt into the Psycho Zaku inside the colony, and to do that, he puts all the shields in front of him and just rams straight into the Psycho Zaku. That's a cool idea. I wish they would have used that more in terms of the shields just being out front, but then it leaves him unable to really attack. That's where the rest of his loadout comes in. He's got 2 beam sabers. He's got some head Vulcans, from what I can tell. And then we've got the missile pod, which fires a bunch of multi-missiles, or they're like micro-missiles, which seem to do significant damage. And then on top of that, we've got the other beam weapon, which is the large beam cannon, which we can easily assume that is somewhat similar to what the Living Dead squad has with the giant beam sniper emplacements in terms of power. So when it comes down to the Thunderbolt, the Full Armour Thunderbolt, it's a mixture of speed, power, and defense in all areas, and to fight it makes it completely overwhelming. And the only reason that the Living Dead squad were actually able to fight it was because Daryl got the Psycho Zaku, and the Psycho Zaku is on par with it. And then it just came down to how each one of the pilots used their mobile suits, loadout, and abilities to their advantage. In terms of how the battles with this thing went, most of the Living Dead squad get wiped out. If not, I think it's actually everyone apart from Daryl gets wiped out. Mainly due to the fact that they can't really move from the sniper emplacements in the Thunderbolt sector really quickly. And the Full Armor uses its fuel tanks as a mini distraction, and after using those fuel tanks, it can still fly with the backpack for an extended period of time, meaning it's still got that massive amount of propulsion from the backpack and then its own boosters. We get to see it darting around like crazy and taking massive amounts of damage. Those shields, the defensive power on them is really something. Then, when he's fighting Daryl, we slowly get to see the suit taking damage, and bit after bit, the armor is chipped away until it gets to a point where the head unit is damaged, which Lo proceeds to purge all of the exterior armor, leaving just the Gundam. And the standard Gundam design, I don't actually mind. It's a little bit boxy, and I say that considering I like boxy designs, but just the way that the shoulders are designed, mainly for me, looks weird compared to the classic Gundam shoulders. I still like it, though. The color scheme, I think it contrasts well with the classic Gundam color scheme, where we have the lighter colors for Amuro and everything, showing optimism, whereas the darker colors on the Thunderbolt version give it this more grim sort of dark tone. It's still got the standard Gundam yellow eyes. If it had any different yellow like coloured eye cameras, I'd be kind of calling it out for being slightly edgy, maybe especially if they were red. But yeah, it seems to mostly be the same design as the RX-78, just with different thrusters placed all over it to be able to maneuver in space a little bit faster and quicker. Yeah, I really like it. I wish they'd put it in another series, not just Thunderbolt. You know, I wish they'd put it in, say, maybe like one of the Build series, because they have a chance to have it make a cameo appearance in there, and it'd be pretty cool as like a boss or something. In terms of comparing the Full Armor to what comes after it, the Atlas, that was what ultimately this video came down to, was, do I choose the Full Armor or the Atlas Gundam? And even though the Atlas can go underwater, and it's got the railgun, and it's got the other like rifles that it can equip, and it's got the cool sort of like binders and shield. Overall, I think that its loadout is not as good compared to the full armor, primarily because you see Lo throwing the railgun away quite a lot when he's in the Atlas, compared to the fact that he couldn't really throw away many of his weapons until he really needed to purge them when he was in the full armor. But yeah, just throwing away the railgun basically makes the Atlas pointless. The smaller rifles were a bit weak, and then the shield, it has those like javelin things or spike things that can deploy foam to stun units for a little while. Yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't feel like it's got as destructive power as the full armor because of the full armor's loadout. It's all there not just for sort of gimmicks. It's there to overwhelm the enemy and destroy them in either one or a couple of hits. Whereas the Atlas, if it loses its railgun, then it seems to be just a little bit more of a high-performance mobile suit with like basic weapons and a beam saber. I could totally be wrong about that, but that's just how it appears in animation. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!